What if Ultron won? That is the premise behind Marvel What If Episode 8. Interestingly enough, at the end of Episode 7, which was the Party Thor episode, we see Ultron appear, and he appears to have the Infinity Stones. This episode seems to be a direct sequel to that, even though it's in a different universe. So that would imply that Ultron getting the stones may have happened in multiple universes. And of course, when Ultron gets the Infinity Stones, I mean, who's going to be able to stop him? Now, I will tell you this. I'm a huge fan of Ultron from the comics. And when I found out back like 9 years ago, that Ultron would be the villain for Avengers 2, I got hyped. Even though I wanted Thanos, they saved him for the third movie, I wanted Ultron too because Ultron's one of those classic recurring Avengers villains from the comics. And I thought that James Spader did a good job, even though Age of Ultron was probably the weakest of the four Avengers movies. Now, in this scenario, first of all, this episode is much, much more action-packed than the previous couple episodes. The opening action sequence with Black Widow against the Ultrons is pretty cool. Hawkeye's there as well, played by Jeremy Renner. And at one point, it's actually kind of funny, I'm not going to lie. At one point, Thanos shows up. So Ultron's reigning, because what happens in this universe is, instead of the Avengers getting Vision, Ultron gets Vision. So his goal of creating that, biomechanical, unstoppable force comes to fruition. So Vision is on Ultron's team, and that tips the scales to his favor. We have him just dominating everybody. And at one point, Thanos shows up with the Infinity Gauntlet, presumably trying to get the Mind Stone away from Ultron. And they literally one-shot Thanos. Literally, a blast cuts Thanos in half. I was howling at this. It's too bad because I really wanted to see, Thanos versus Ultron. I think that would have been a cool fight. But Ultron just slices him in half, fam. And then takes the Infinity Stones and is able to manipulate reality into creating more Ultron clones. And now it's like, okay, what in the hell are we going to do to stop this guy? Is it going to be a time travel thing? What are we going to do here? And they paint this picture really early on in the episode. Really early on. There's tons of cameos. They have this montage of Ultron literally conquering the universe. We see him go to different planets and fight different heroes and different characters. And he just wipes through all of them. He did it. I mean, he could have just snapped his fingers like Thanos did, but this was the long and torturous way, the old ways, as Darkseid would say. At one point, even Captain Marvel shows up and starts to, annihilate Ultron until Ultron just says, nah, I've already won, and just obliterates her, which I know a lot of people are going to be happy about. And then things take a very interesting turn as Ultron sees the Watcher. Ultron is able to, even though the Watcher exists outside the multiverse, or at least in all multiverses, he can see everything. Ultron, with the power of the Infinity Stones, sees him. And he freaks out. And he's like, okay, this is a problem because I can't let this guy take over the multiverse. I just can't. So what happens is the Watcher finds some remaining Avengers and basically tries to work with them to try to figure out how to stop this guy. So Natasha and Clint find this AI to basically hack into Ultron and try to disable him from the inside. Because even though Ultron has the Infinity Stones, he is still ultimately a machine. Although I feel like with the Infinity Stones and the power that they possess, he could make himself whatever he wants. Right? Because that's how strong they are. So even as I'm watching the episode, I'm wondering, is this really going to work tangibly to where it makes sense? You know what I mean? Even though it may not make for a really epic fight, I actually like the idea of the two Avengers who are the least superhuman, of the original core team. Hawkeye and Black Widow have to be the ones to stop Ultron. I actually like that concept because it shows that not only is the human will a powerful one, but it shows that you don't really need superpowers. You don't have to be Thor. You don't have to be Captain America, the super soldier. You don't have to be Hulk to make a difference. And I really like that. And I thought it was a good sort of message, even though it may not have been done on purpose. I do like that idea a lot, actually. Then, in what was probably the most unexpected but coolest scene in this episode, we find out that Ultron is not in the observable universe, or that is, in that universe. And they cut to this fight between the Watcher and Ultron, and this is like high power Dragon Ball Z key blast type of stuff here. And I was really enjoying it. Like, obviously, I've talked about how the animation in What If is not traditional animation, but it looks fine. Like, it's easy on the eyes for me. Some folks might not like it, but I'm cool with it. But this fight between Ultron and Watcher, it was brief, but it was cool. Like, it's like an interstellar, like, Marvel cosmic level battle. And we haven't seen many of those in the MCU movies. So seeing it here, I think, was pretty damn awesome. Like this episode, it's not my favorite episode of What If, but it was probably the most ambitious episode, and it had the biggest stakes because the way that it was portrayed here, Ultron with the Infinity Stones is more dangerous than Thanos with the Infinity Stones because Ultron tried to transcend the multiverse, whereas Thanos just wanted to wipe out half the population of one universe, one, plane of existence. Ultron wanted to go far and away beyond that and got the Watcher involved. So this episode had the biggest stakes of any other episode of What If, and because of that, it's going to be a memorable episode and one that, again, not my favorite because I think the Doctor Strange episode was probably like the most powerful one emotionally, and I really loved the Avengers get killed by Ant-Man episode. I love that one. Those are still my top two. And also the Black Panther one was a lot of fun too. But this one, like, really had me thinking. Like, this episode could have been like an hour-long special. Like the Marvel Zombies one, like half an hour is sometimes not enough to tell these stories, guys. They need more time or make a two-part episode or something like that, And ironically enough, we may actually get that here because the episode ends on somewhat of a cliffhanger. The Watcher fails and Ultron wins. Ultron is the winner here, so it's not a happy ending. But the Watcher is then greeted by Dr. Stephen Strange, who, he has kind of a smirky attitude, and the Watcher pretty much admits that he needs his help. And that's where the episode ends. I feel like, now, some people have probably already know this, but I feel it's going to be a two-part episode. And if so, that's good, number one. Number two, why couldn't Marvel Zombies be a two-part episode? Because some of these stories really do need more time. And this one right here, with the stakes being so high and what's going on, I think needs a second part. And I look forward to next week to seeing that because these types of grand epic stories, I think, need to be the season finale and can be 2 or 3 parts. Even though it is an alternate universe, if the story is interesting enough to maintain multiple episodes, I say do it. And to me, with there being virtually no hope left, I mean, we saw Ultron destroy the Avengers and Captain Marvel and everybody else. Stephen Strange and the Watcher working together may actually be the key to resolving this problem, since Stephen Strange has, the Master of the Mystic Arts has access to, how to use the Time Stone properly and things like that. So I'm guessing time travel is going to be involved, like what happened with Endgame. So this is kind of like an alternate Endgame in a way, except instead of it being Thanos, it's going to be Ultron. We'll see. I like this episode a lot. Again, not my favorite, but there are so many great moments and so many great scenes in this one that I really did like it. So what did you think? Let me know. And I hope that next week's will match up well. Have a great one. I'll talk to y'all very soon.